All right. So is everybody? So I'll call us to order at 5:41 here. Confirm that everyone's looking at my screen, which basically has the attachments from the Dropbox.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Moving forward, our second item is the approval of minutes from the regular March 2nd meeting.
So moved.
Second. Susan Lance.
Dan Sim.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan and Susan. Just before we take the vote on this, just as a reminder, if you're not speaking, please put your phone on mute. I'll do my best to call off the seconders and the motion makers before we take the vote, and just try to get through this as orderly as possible. So motion's been made for approval of the minutes by Dan Sam, seconded by Susan Lance. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. On to item 3. Councilman Poisson, any words from the town council?
No, sir. So far, so good. Everything's running smoothly. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Glad to hear it. Thank you, Councilman. Paul, at this point, got the budget open. I'm going to put my phone on mute, let you walk us through kind of the budget, and I'll try to follow along with the hand as best I can. And then when you're done, just kind of turn it back over to me.
Thank you, Alan. So I'm not seeing your screen.
No worries, just narrate and I'll follow along.
Okay. So on my screen, I'm seeing last month's budget I handed the committee, as well as the one that's in the Dropbox link. So last month we were standing at $2,288,000, $2.288 million in owner's contingency. And after the receiving of the money back we got from Turner last month, the owner's contingency went up to $4.262 million for this month. Chairman, what else would you like me to walk you through specifically? And I'd be happy to talk about it.
And I think we're good. I didn't find that $4.2 million number that you were talking about. I found a 2462 number.
Yep. That's what I thought I said. I apologize, Chairman. It's 2.462 million in owner's contingency remaining.
Fantastic. So I've indicated that number. If that concludes your budget report, I'll now move along to item 5, and I believe the intention here is that I turn the screen over to Tim. So bear with me. Lisa, can you unmute and kind of walk me through this handover process?
Sure. So on the right-hand side of your screen, you have the 3 little icons at the top. You want to go to the one that has the picture of the people.
Okay.
Actually, and I don't know if you can give it back. I think maybe the organizer, Michael Downs, has to do it to share the screen with Tim.
Oh, all right. Mike, if you're following along, just take the screen back and then share it with Tim Claps.
Got it. Who's going to be taking it from here?
You're taking it from me, Alan Llewellyn, the chair, and sharing it to Tim Claps from Turner.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
I think I've done this. Do you see the summary of CORs on your screen?
Yes.
I'm seeing it, Tim.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to stay all in PDF as best I can and run through the CORs. So this was included in the link that Paul had sent, the revised one this afternoon. So we have a series of change orders to review tonight. First one being COR 121. This is the one for the North Parade sidewalks. This one was priced up by the town, and my understanding is that they have a substantially lower cost. And this is to be formally rejected today.
Okay, stepping back in here, Tim, this is Chairman Llewellyn, looking to entertain a motion to reject this change order, and we'll lower that $42,000 number to $0, and basically this will get rejected and stricken as a change order request.
Rich Fredette will make that motion.
Susan Lance will second.
Who was that on the second? Was that Bob DiLorenzo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion been made by Rich Fredette, seconded by Bob DiLorenzo. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Tim, take us to change order request number 227.
Hey,
Mr. Chairman, may I make a point of order, please?
Yes, Mr. Poisson.
Alan, I believe that we've been instructed that if anybody speaks, they have to state their name and title when they're speaking. If anybody wants to speak, they have to raise their hand, or if they're on their phone, they need to ask to speak, and then you let them speak. These are all things that we had to do to satisfy Governor Lamont's executive order. It was already stated to please keep everything on mute unless you're talking, to avoid all the background noise and the echo. And did we officially take attendance at the beginning of the meeting, sir? Because we had to do that too. These were all instructions that came down from the governor.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councilman Poisson. I appreciate that. Okay, so just to do some housekeeping, let's go kind of have everybody check in amongst the official subcommittee members. So one at a time. Alan Llewellyn, Chairman.
Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Education.
Janet
Rich
Brown.
Fredette, zoning.
Bob Shalou, alternate.
Susan Lance. Member.
Jack Delapiano, principal. And South Building Needs.
All right, are there any other official members of the subcommittee who need to check in at this point? Right, and then as Councilman Poisson, who just ran a very good public works meeting, said, as moving forward, as each person speaks and kind of steps in, just say who you are and what your title or function is. All right, that having been said, I'm going to turn this back over to you, Tim, and just kind of announce yourself as, Turner Construction Project Manager.
Okay. Everybody can hear me. Tim Kleps, Project Manager, Turner Construction. So the next change order to look at is change order request number 227. So I will pull that one here up on the screen. So change order request number 227. This is in reference to RFI 494, the wall between band practice room B131 and B132. The change here is to actually remove that wall, make one larger space to be able to create a larger storage area for the band and the choral program. What you'll see here is some credits coming back for the actual wall itself, the acoustic panels that were to be on that wall, and then for a T-stat that was to be on that wall as well. Total change order is a return of $4,502 in credit.
Rich Fredette.
Second, Bob Shalou.
Okay, motion's been made by Rich Fredette, seconded by Bob Shalou. Any other questions, comments, discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Tim, take us to 228.
All right, change order number 228 is for the reconciliation of the soil unsuitable for bearing per bulletin 27. This came to the committee and to the town as an allowance with several different estimated costs at that time. After everything was said and done, you'll see the return of the reconciled allowance here, $470,050. The cost associated with each piece, including stockpiling and aggregate piers, micropile cost, as well as credit for aggregate piers that we didn't have to install of that $218,000. You also see in here some additional tickets for grouting, groundwater, frac tanks that were all included. So again, you can go through and look at, and I'll scroll down to a reconciliation sheet that you'll see here as well to give you a better picture. Let me get that on the screen. It tells you each of the costs, what approval letter they were all authorized in for each one of those costs, as well as change order request 228, which are the final two costs that we need approved today. So looking at this, the total change order is a return or a credit to the town of Stratford of $15,792.
Rich Fredette.
Go ahead, Rich.
Rich Fredette would make a motion to accept.
And Bob? Okay, and then Bob, moving forward, just make sure you acknowledge yourself as Board of Education member. So motion been made by Rich Fredette, seconded by Bob DiLorenzo. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Last call, any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Tim, bring us to 229.
Okay, change order number 229. This is in reference to RFI 506. This is in the new gym, both on the south and the north sides of the gym. Required a pilaster on the south side to be able to create a jamb for the folding partition. And then on the north side, we did a drywall partition, almost like a column enclosure type box out to accept the folding partition. If I scroll through here, I can show you a drawing. So where I'm talking about is right here, where this folding partition comes in on the north side and where this folding partition comes in here on the south side. You'll see the bubble here adding a 5P CMU. And then over on the north side here, you'll see again, this column right here was done in drywall to box this out, creates a jamb for the folding partition. This change order request is totaled at $5,897.
Dan Stein, building needs.
Is there a second?
Janet Robinson, second. Superintendent.
Okay, any further questions, comments, discussion on this item? Motion's been made by Dan Semp, seconded by Janet Robinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Tim, 230.
All right, change order number 230 is in reference to RFI 510. This is for Building B only, as RFI 510 also addresses Building C and Building A. The cost here for Building B are time critical for us to get this done prior to work going in place and avoiding rework. So what you'll see here is the two costs is one for a meter pit in Building B. Back in 2017, there was a bidder question that was asked about a meter pit. The meter pit at that time by Aquarian was said that it was not required. As of recent, Aquarian has been re-looking at the project. They asked us to renew our application in with the water company. They have now requested a meter pit to be added. That meter pit is valued at $13,343. In addition to that, as part of RFI 510, is as the city or Aquarian water service enters the building, there's an RFI. This RFI adds a pressure reducing valve at that location to be able to reduce the pressure as it enters the building to, I believe it's 50 psi. That requires some rework of the piping. In building A, it will require rework. In building C, it'll require rework. Here, we don't need to do that rework, so it's a cost of $8,736. Sorry, somebody just asked it for the keyboard and mouse controls.
Hello. Good, how are you? Yeah, and I'm listening to the Public Works or Building Needs meeting. Yeah.
Mark, I'm sorry, I've got on my screen Margot's requested controls. What do I need to do?
Can you hear me?
Yep, you can hear you now, Margot.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm trying to figure out because I have absolutely no organizer controls over this, so I'm clicking while you guys are talking, trying to figure out why I have no control. So disregard that. It's seeing me as an organizer, but not letting me control. Carry on.
Right,
Margot, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but Mike first gave controls to Alan, and then he gave them to Tim. So is it possible that now GoToMeetings understands that Mike, Alan, and Tim are the organizers, and you've gotten bumped?
No, I don't know.
No, that's not it. I'm not sure what issue she's dealing with, but she is listed here as an organizer, but for whatever reason on her end, she's not able to exercise those controls.
Margot, I hope Mike Downs gives you a raise after this. She works so terribly hard on all these meetings.
Okay, do you want me to, so back to, does everybody can hear me? We'll go back to COR 230. So again, the two pieces to this were, one, adding back in the water meter pit. The second is adding a PRV in building B. Again, you see here that in RFI 510 that was added. You can see the PRV has been added to this location per this RFI. The total change order value for COR number 230 is $17,027.
Okay, is there a motion to accept?
Motion to accept,
Yes.
Bob Shalhoub.
Rich Fredette.
Motion been made by Bob Shalhoub, seconded by Rich Fredette. Is there any further questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Tim, next one up is 231.
All right, change order number 231. This is in reference to RFI 495. This is a T225 disconnect switch. In the boiler room, the existing boiler room underneath building C is where our new gear is. There's a transformer down there. After that transformer, they had called out a disconnect switch at that location to be able to cut power to the panel that was located in building B. We researched the code, had IES go through the codes to look at this because that disconnect switch, there wasn't enough room to do that with the phasing plan we had without building some temporary provisions. When push came to shove, we went through all the codes. It was determined that that disconnect switch was not required. So this is crediting back that disconnect switch in the value of $984.
Motion to accept, Bob Shalhoub.
All right, Who jumped in on that first? I heard Bob Shalou. Was that as a seconder?
I'll second.
Sure.
Bob Shalou.
Okay, and then who's making the motion?
Thought Rich Fredette was.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Fredette. Appreciate it. Any other questions, comments, discussion concerning this item? Okay, on motion made by Rich Fredette, seconded by Bob Shalou. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Number 232, Tim?
Okay, number 232, this is some added smoke detectors in the lobby. There were, I believe, 4 smoke detectors that were added in the high ceiling area of the civic lobby. Let me see if I just the quantity correct.
This is Lisa from Antonazi. There are 6.
6. Okay, yep, I got it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 added smoke detectors in the high ceiling of the lobby that needed to be added. This change order for that work is valued at $2,041.
Is there a motion to accept?
Dan Semp, so moved.
Janet
Rich
Robinson,
Fredette.
second.
Okay, motion been made by Dan Semp, seconded by Janet Robinson. Any further questions, comments, discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Tim, 233.
All right, change order number 233 is in reference to RFI 516 for storm heat tracing. So I'm starting down here on a layout of the building to show where these storm drains are. This one is not an absolute requirement, but something that is recommended by Turner and by the design team in their RFI. These storm drains that you see, there are 4 locations that are shown here, 2 on the south side and 2 on the east side. They're in the overhang that surrounds the lecture hall. They are above an insulated ceiling in this space, but there's no heat introduced from the inside of the lecture hall out into that overhang. So basically what the concern is that yes, it is insulated, but it's also, there's no heat introduced. So during the winter, when you put freezing cold water in it, you're insulating freezing cold water. You're not keeping it from freezing at any point in time. The heat trace is what does that. So this change order is valued at $16,704. And the reason for that is it has as you see this line where my cursor is following, to get back to the panel location, it's a dedicated circuit to bring 120 volt power out to this heat trace and then bring it from one to the other to the other. So total change order on this is $16,704. Lisa, I don't know if you want to add anything to this.
This is Lisa. I do. My mic just turned on. I just wanted to add, our plumbing engineer does not feel that these pipes would crack if the water inside them froze to, I guess, to the size of the pipes. However, if anything were to happen, this is a high ceiling. It's a really high visibility area. Wouldn't be very easy to fix. So we thought it would be better to be conservative.
Rich Fredette.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fred. Is that a motion to approve?
Well, I just want to clarify that there will be
Okay.
nothing else added to the dollar amount to that with Lisa's comment.
No, this is Tim Kleps with Turner. The dollar amount is to bring the heat trace, tie it into the panel, as this shows, and wrap each one of these pipes, both primary and secondary, with a heat trace to avoid any freeze up of these pipes. As Lisa said, the concern is if the plumbing engineer does not believe that these pipes would crack, thereby creating a leak. But if it was to happen at any point in time, this is above a high area, above stairs in an area where a boom lift would be required to make any repairs.
I will make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Fredette. Is there a second?
Second, Janet Robinson.
All right. Is there any other questions, comments, discussion on this request? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Tim, bring us to 234.
All right, and my final change order for today is change order number 234. This is in reference to RFI 499 for the additional framing on the roof. So there are several costs here by Greenwood and partitions from two different trades. One trade to provide the framing, the next to be able to bring the roofing and tie the roofing in. I'm going to flip forward to a pretty brief drawing here that shows, if you look at this here, you can see the roof dunnage framing that's placed on the roof to be able to level this out. So this roof deck is pitched. This roof dunnage framing levels out the curb that sits on top of it. There is now an air gap below the bottom of this. This needed additional framing to be put in place underneath here, and then the roofing system itself comes up and comes to the top of this curb, which is really the change that you see there. Let's see, we have another drawing here which kind of shows a little bit of what needed to happen. Is here's your roof insulation. You put the framing and the dens board by the roofer, and then you're bringing the roofing up here. So you have to fill that gap in. All right, so total change order to make that happen with Greenwood as well as partitions is a change order of $17,266.
Dan
So
Semp,
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion been
So
made
moved.
by Dan Semp, second. Sorry, I'll flip-flop that. Rich, you want to make the motion on that? And then Dan, I'll have you as the seconder.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, thank you much. I appreciate it. Any further questions, comments, discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Just to kind of make things move along a little quicker, the other kind of amendments and changes, I'm going to have Paul Drummy take care of under new business. And so, Tim, at this point, take us through the dashboard and the 6-week look ahead.
Okay. I have the dashboard here on the screen. I'll see if I can make it a little bit larger for everybody. So the dashboard was sent out via email, so everybody should have a copy of that. I'll go first through project accomplishments over here in the top left corner. Some of the things that we had done over the month of March was to complete the brick, the gym brick, and the majority of the south elevation brick. So you can look over at photo 4 to see the salvaged limestone at the main entry. So down here on the bottom right-hand side, and this is the arch work in the limestone that was salvaged from the front North Parade side of the building. This has all been reset. We're currently working on the block and brick around the two sides of this, so we can get up to a location to get the rest of that limestone put in above that. All right, looking at started the authorities having jurisdiction above ceiling inspection. We do have ceiling tiles going in certain areas, as well as we've started the ceramic tile in the bathrooms over the month of March. In the auditorium, which is the critical path of the project, photo 1 will represent what is going on there in the auditorium. So you see all these ceilings and the grid work, both for drywall as well as for the open grid ceiling that's there. So there's a lot of work going on up above, as well as of today, we started doing a little bit more CMU work on the two sides. So things are going very well in the auditorium right now, schedule-wise. Next item started the lobby high ceiling framing. Again, that's one of the items that came up with the smoke detectors. And then over in the gymnasium, if you look here in picture number 2, photo number 2 will show you what the high ceiling looks like. So again, the joist being painted red. This is your folding partition steel that's painted red. The MEPs that are up there in the background, your ductwork is all painted red. And again, there's an offset between the decking itself and the acoustical deck. Again, you'll see the red floor. Again, that's just dry fall from the paint. It's not going to be a red floor at the end of the day. And then another item is we set the majority of the rooftop units. We have 2 DOAS units remaining that need to come out. They're due here at some point in April, depending on shipping. But we have set those and started making the connections to the rooftop MEP equipment. All right, over here on critical activities, a lot of them that we've addressed and talked about several times. So again, for everybody's time, I won't talk too much about them, but the DOS units, the leaks that we had over there in Building A, we're down to what we believe the last item, which is going to be a hood screen. That will happen once they get the parts in, and we'll get that fixed. The VRF system is continuing to be worked on. They've changed out some pretty detailed, but what they call a JACE unit, they've changed that out, and we're monitoring the system currently. Again, this doesn't take away from the annual versus auto. That still is in debate and is being discussed. Flooring warranty issues and concerns. A quick update on this is the bonding company has stepped in to take over. That agreement is going back and forth between the takeover agreement is going back and forth between Urban's bonding legal counsel and Turner's legal counsel to get that agreement put in place. Urban has started putting flooring down in phase 2B. They started that today. Hitting on some big major items right now is the impacts due to COVID-19. There's 3 items that are on this critical activities that are related. It's this impact to COVID-19, culinary hood installation, and resolve New York workers site access. So Paul had sent over in his narrative for today's meeting a letter issued by Turner to CREC as the owner's project manager, notifying and providing communication for some of the things that we are currently hearing that are being impacted by this pandemic. So everybody's aware, we do hold daily meetings with our operations group here in Connecticut. So I'm on calls, once a day, going through and hearing about additional impacts we're hearing both within Connecticut and New York, as well as around the country. Assembling and issuing to CREC a follow-up letter to the letter that was previously issued. And that follow-up letter is just meant to give you further notification of what we're hearing in addition to what we've already provided notification for. When it looks at the culinary hood installation, this is strictly based on manpower that they don't have right now related to COVID-19. The manpower that works for the company has decided that they aren't going to come to work and risk getting this virus. So we don't have installation crews for the culinary hood. Additionally, the Resolve New York worker site access, again, as everybody knows, that's the hot spot for this pandemic. Our concrete subcontractor is from New York. They're in Hawthorne. They are currently due back on site now to do some sidewalks and some stairs on the outside of the building. But at this point in time, we haven't been able to get them back to site, so we're working through that. You'll see again, to stay on the COVID-19 and the pandemic issues, you'll see down here under the executive summary, I have talked about that as well, is that the project has continued despite the unprecedented pandemic that has impacted our building industry. We continue to keep our finger on the pulse as much as we can to be able to get information from the subcontract market and from our trade partners, and to provide you information on that and notification, and then to mitigate as best we can. So again, as the letter stated that we sent to you, there's issues with the spiral stair cage in the auditorium, that it's coming out of Pennsylvania that has a government shutdown. There are rails in the auditorium that are coming from Canada that, again, we cannot get out of Canada. They have a shutdown there. We have millwork, our casework issues coming out of Michigan, where they have a shutdown there in Michigan. So we have a lot of government issues right now with shutdowns trying to control the spread of this virus, and the quantitative measures associated with the impacts are unknown right now, and we continue to chase those and plan to put whatever mitigation measures we can in place to try to resolve any delay that may come of this. And again, our project challenge number one right now is the impacts of COVID-19, a little spelling error. But we continue to look at that very closely to try to understand how this will impact the project and how we'll be able to recover or adjust for it. That's a big topic, Alan. I don't know if we want to pause there to let anybody ask questions on COVID-19 or the things we're doing.
Mr. Chairman, Rich Fredette here.
Go ahead, Mr. Fredette.
I might as well ask the obvious question. Have we tried to locate any of this material or whatever we need locally?
The material locally is, so if we look at this, this is the letter that was issued. It's part of Paul's update. It was sent over. So the pipe grid, is made there in New York. So it's right over the line. But again, the government has shut down non-essential businesses. So there really is no other source for this. PDO, who's the contractor, has tried to find another location. They have the material. It's ready to go into fabrication, but they're shut down based on the government. Stage drapery is coming out of New Jersey, right? So we have that as well. Some new information there. So we're trying to work through and trying to find any which way that we can find to mitigate this. But, with the materials right now, it really comes down to when the government reopens.
I figured you took all other angles. I just had to ask the questions.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and we're looking at, and we're also asking the trade as we get communications. Our trade partners do have an obligation to mitigate the delay themselves. They've looked at, for instance, with PDO and acoustic panels, they've looked at Massachusetts to try to get carpenters from Massachusetts, but there's current word that the Massachusetts carpenters are again, with these incentives that are out there, we're finding more and more the labor is finding out how much they can make sitting home, and they're deciding to do that, which is again their entitlement based on their comfort level of coming out with this pandemic and potential spread of it. So we're finding that at least here, we know that on site we've lost 4 individuals as of this morning. On Friday, they heard about the incentives in receiving unemployment, decided to stay home. We're hearing it from the carpenters out of Mass. We're hearing it from the local carpenters here who have laid off their forces because work closing up on other projects. And again, trying to get them back and them refusing or declining to come back because of risk to themselves and their families.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Dan Senft, I just got a question for Tim.
Yeah, Dan.
Tim, underneath the bridge, I noticed I was going for a jog, and there seems to be some rust that's accumulating. I don't know if it's coming down from the panels, but there seems to be rust on the exterior of the walls, both on the north side and the south side. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not, Dan, but I will make it a note to go take a look at it tomorrow.
Okay.
Is there any other COVID-19 related questions for Tim? All right, Tim, bring us through the rest of the dashboard and then kind of let us know what the weeks lie ahead look like.
Okay. So outside of that, again, looking at schedule, as I had said, we are currently putting in place and getting as much as we can done in the existing building, in Building A as well as Building C, while the school is closed. So the Board of Ed has been very helpful with opening up the building and allowing us to go in there. We're trying to get as much as we can done, not knowing what the future might hold for us. We are trying to maintain as much as possible the schedule. But we're doing fairly well right now. The concern is, as our letter indicates, and as we'll continue to talk about, is when we work ourselves till we don't have the materials to be able to obtain the certificate of occupancy. Because again, life safety with rails, and the chairs are coming from China. So we're closely monitoring those chairs for the auditorium. So we're looking at each piece, but right now, as the schedule indicates, we're still showing that we're on schedule. But the future will tell once we can measure the impacts and get those tied into the schedule to understand. Outside of that, we're looking at financially. We still are in a great financial position on the project. We're looking at some good, healthy remaining balances in the allowances and the unboughts and in the contingency. Some expenditures that we are looking at right now will be some moisture mitigation measures as we start flooring. Depending on the type of flooring, we get different RH requirements. Carpet seems to be one of the most aggressive, where it's 85%, some are even 80%, which again, we're currently reading moisture readings hovering right between 87 and 90. So we're hopeful we'll be able to come down a little bit further for some of the flooring types, but we do have some exposure for moisture mitigation that's coming to us. We'll talk about a couple other things that, in phase 3A as we get down there, one being the existing gymnasium floor and how we want to handle that. But on a financial place, we still remain in a good, healthy position. All right. And then here is the 6-week look ahead. Again, this was sent out to everybody, and I won't go through every item that's in here. Again, the same thing is that this here, the full impacts of the pandemic are not included below. We've included those that we know of. One being the hoods in the culinary program. We know that we're trying to get guys. We're looking at alternatives. One alternative is to use the on-site HVAC contractor, F&F. We've asked them to price it, and we're waiting for that pricing now to take that away from the food service company and have somebody else install it. But that's been identified, and that's in here being pushed out because the hood should be installed currently. But as you look down through the 6-week look ahead, we're looking on the outside to get the brickwork done. The last area of brickwork is over on the southwest side, over around the arch is the last area of brick walls. We have the thin brick up on top of the lecture hall that's going right now. That really wraps up a lot of the outside. Curtain wall is going in. We put the curtain wall in on the east side. We're working on the main entrance on the south into the civic lobby now. Roofing coping is going on. As the roofing's done, we're washing down and the brick's done. We're washing down and getting the coping in place. As I said, the units were landed. We're up on the roof doing tie-ins, ductwork, electrical, gas is all being tied in up on the roof. And we've restarted the site improvement portions of the project. So if you came by today, you'd see that there is no more parking lot. It's all been pulled up. We're doing underground drainage right now, getting that wrapped up, as well as looking to start the sidewalks and the stairs into the building. But as I indicated, that's a group coming out of New York that we have to get our hands around to be able to figure out how to make that work or when that can happen. On the inside of the building, we are putting ceilings in, ceiling grid, ceiling pad cuts, dropping light fixtures and diffusers into several areas under the low roofs. In the auditorium, we're working on the ceilings, wrapping them up. All the drywall ceiling framing has been completed. Next is getting drywall up on there and starting the taping process. We've restarted CMU, lower CMU walls in the auditorium, had restarted today. So that's going in there as well. On the stage, all the ductwork has been completed on the stage, which is a great thing. Final light fixtures are going in on the stage. Moving over to the gymnasium, we have painted the deck, the steel structure. We've painted the MEPs. We've hung the permanent light fixtures. The basketball backboards are going in. Right now they have, I believe, 3 of 6 have been installed. Wood flooring will start over the next 6 weeks in the gymnasium. That wood is set to deliver next week. We'll acclimate the wood and we'll get the wood flooring started. From there, it gets into the rest of the gymnasium equipment as well as the bleachers. Shifting over to the civic lobby, I had said earlier that we did the framing of the high ceiling. Drywall will be starting there in the high ceiling of the civic lobby. The brickwork is all done there. The inscribed brick are there on that radius wall. And then over in the lecture hall, we've done the acoustical ceiling and we've done the MEPs, and we're working on acoustical panels on the back walls. So we're seeing the building come into more and more completion status and more final finishes. With flooring started, it's a big milestone to get flooring restarted. Again, it gives you the idea that the ceilings are in, floors go in, millwork, final paint. We do the bells and whistles, and rooms are coming together to be completed. It's just a matter of some of the spaces and what materials we won't have to be able to final those areas.
All right, Tim, are you set?
Yes, all set.
All right, are there any questions for Tim Kleps and Turner Construction with regards to the 6-week look ahead? All right, so at this point, Mike, I'm going to ask you to take screen control back and then give it over to me in a couple of minutes. What I need to do right now, just for administrative purposes, is read into the record a meeting notice that probably actually should have been read in earlier. So I'm going to ask you all to just bear with me for a couple minutes here. So here's kind of our meeting notice. This is Alan Llewellyn, Chairman of the Stratford High School Renovations Subcommittee. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, we are conducting this meeting virtually on GoToMeetings.com on April 6th of 2020. Quorum for this meeting is 5, which we have. As you hear your name, if you just kind of say yes as I read you off, that would greatly be appreciated. So in attendance are the following members: Jack Delapiano, Stratford High School Principal.
Yes.
Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Education Member.
Yes.
Rich Fredette, Electorate Member.
Yes.
Susan Lance, Electorate Member.
Yes.
Len Petroselli, Electorate Member. Move on. Ken Poisson, Councilman.
Yes.
Dan Stemps, Electorate Member.
Yes.
Janet Robinson, Superintendent.
Yes.
Bob Shalou, Alternate Member, Electorate.
Yeah. Yes.
And myself as Chairman, Alan Llewellyn. Also in attendance are John Casey, Town of Stratford Engineer. John's still here. I believe he was here earlier. All right, Rich Ruggiero from Board of Education Operations.
Yes.
Thank you. Dan Weakling.
Yes.
With the Town of Stratford. Ron Denny from Turner Construction. Tim Kleps from Turner Construction.
Yes, present.
George Perham from Antonazzi Associates, Project Architect.
Yes, present.
Lisa Yates from Antonazzi Associates, Project Architect.
Yes.
Paul Drummy with CREC, the Program Project Manager for the Town of Stratford.
Yes.
Michael Downs from the Town of Stratford Mayoral Administration.
Here.
Margot Paquette, Town of Stratford Council Clerk.
Here.
Eileen Marsh, the Subcommittee Recording Secretary.
Present.
Before I bring the meeting back to order, I'd like to remind everyone to kind of raise their hand if they'd like to speak or speak out loud until you're acknowledged. When called upon, each and every time someone begins talking, please begin by stating your name and title. And this is all being done as per Governor Lamont's executive order, which is allowing us to have this virtual meeting. So thank you for your cooperation, and appreciate everyone being here tonight. This brings us on the agenda to item 7. Our next regular meeting, and I would assume it would follow this format, is going to be on Monday, May 4th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. A special meeting, if needed, would be our usual interim date 2 weeks from now, which would be Monday, April 20th, 2020. Moving us on to item number 8, is there any update this evening on the on-campus athletic field, George or Lisa?
No, as we are still working on getting that priced up. This is Lisa Yates from Antonazi. Sorry.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate the update. That's going to bring us on to item 9 for new business. And what I'm going to do is I've got screen control, so I'm going to, Paul, I'm going to turn it over kind of to you from CREC to bring us through the items in the narrative sheet, specifically the amendments. And what I'll do, Paul, is I'll put my phone on mute and I'll sort of have you narrate through, and I'll try to stay along as best as possible.
Okay. Do you want to share the screen with me, Alan, so I can use it?
Oh, I didn't realize you could be shared with. Mike, I'm sorry about that. That's a mistake on my part. Mike, if you would take control back and then share it with Paul Drummy. Again, everyone, I apologize for this delay. I did not realize Paul could become screen activated.
Paul Drummy, project manager with CREC. Does everybody see my screen? I think we see my screen.
No,
No.
I do not.
I did, but it's gone now.
There we go.
I just got a memo that said Jim Connor is the presenter.
Yeah, I saw the same thing pop up, Dan.
Yes, he's got the screen icon.
Give it back, Jim.
Mike, can I get the screen again?
Yeah, I'm turning it over to Paul Drummy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
We can see it.
We can see it, Paul.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the narrative I sent out last Friday, and again, just before the meeting, so everybody had it at the top of their inbox. Scrolling down my narrative, we've reviewed the change orders, spoke about the change order note when it came to the sidewalks. Turner talked about the potential delays. The letter was distributed as well. The website is updated with recent project photos, which brings us to Antonazi Amendment Reconciliation and Amendment number 46 for geodesign soil management. This is a time where Turner is working on the east parcel in the athletic field area, and we need to re-engage with geodesign. Before we did so, we thought it was a good idea to have the amendment number 29 and 30 revised. So, Lisa, do you want to speak a little bit about this? Lisa Yates from Antonazi.
Sure. This is Lisa Yates from Antonazi. So Amendment 29 and Amendment number 30 were for soils characterization at the west parcel. So that work is complete. However, we did not need all of the money that was originally allocated for those 2 amendments. So we are returning 2 credits. and each one of these, I believe, has to be voted on separately, but the first one is for 29, which this is presented as new amendment 29R, with a resulting, it adjusts the total amount downward. You have a credit of $10,486.50. Amendment 30, very similar, except the credit is $20,821.50.
All right, Lisa, Paul, hold up here for just a sec. So let's address the credit amendments one at a time. I'll entertain a motion to accept Amendment 29R in the credit amount of $10,486.50.
So moved, Janet Robinson.
Second, Robert Shalhoub.
Okay, motion been made by Janet Robinson, seconded by Robert Shalhoub. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. And now a motion to accept Amendment 30R in the credit amount of $20,821.
Susan Lance, so move. Second, Janet Robinson.
Okay, motion's been made by Susan Lance, seconded by Janet Robinson. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none. Question or comment there? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, Paul, I'm going to turn it back over to you and Lisa to now bring us through Antonazi Amendment number 46.
Okay, Lisa from Antonazi here. As Tim mentioned, they're starting site work in earnest on the east parcel. And actually geodesign is already out there doing soils characterization and I think getting set up for some particulate air monitoring. They're doing this under the remainder of Amendment 42. But going forward, this Amendment number 46 flushes out the rest with soils characterization under, I think, a portion of the south parking lot, but mostly under the athletic field, and also for continuation of particulate air monitoring during construction. And Amendment 46, the total amount is $32,303.50.
So moved by Bob Shalhoub.
Second, Janet Robinson.
All right. But before moving forward, Paul, I just want to make sure that CREC has gone through the same vetting process that's been done with the other Geo Designs work, and that this has been vetted through, and we're not anticipating any challenges when this gets presented up in Hartford.
That's confirmed, Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other questions, comments, discussions on this item? All right, a motion made by Bob Shalhoub, seconded by Janet Robinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Paul, our next item is the Sonatrol proposal.
Yes, Paul Drummey from CREC, project manager. So the security change order request update. At the last meeting, Mayor Hoydick requested that we have Larry Ciccarelli and his safety team go through the print and the site subsequent walkthrough. We did such, Lisa, myself, Larry. Forgive me for not remembering the officers and the fire marshal's name, but we all walked the site. With one concern that Larry and the fire marshal had was the position of the gym cameras was fine where they were when it was wide open. However, when the partition wall would be closed, there would be a blind spot on the northeast and the southwest corners of the gym. So in order to get rid of those blind spots, switching those single lens cameras to a 360-degree camera would do such. So this request is for the change of those cameras. Chairman, if I can scroll through, can I have a list of of motions down below, rather than go back and forth. If I can go through the narrative and then we'll get down to the motion portion, if that's okay with you, Chairman.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, that'll be fine. If that'll make it more efficient for you to walk us through these last 3 or 4 items, go ahead, do so. You have the screen control, so go to the bottom of the narrative.
Thank you, Chairman. Are there any questions on this security change order? Okay, moving on. So after the last meeting, Craig, our move manager, and Myers Movers met with Jack Delapiano and the applicable staff to review all the stuff that needs to be moved, the gym offices, the storage rooms, everything to make certain that we, as the owner, don't have anything in the way of Turner moving forward. We came up with a list of things for Myers to give us a price to present to the committee. This is emptying the Connex boxes that are on site into mobile trailers. Those mobile trailers will go down the street to their warehouse and sit there for what we believe to probably be around 4 months, possibly 5. Taking those Connex boxes and moving them temporarily across the street so we could use those for storage of there's chairs in the hallways that need to be put somewhere. So we'll utilize the empty Connex boxes on the other side of on the west parcel. Other than that, it's getting everything out of the gym areas, so Turner has free range to work without any of the owner's items in their way. The cost to do so on this phased work is $66,504. The current line item is carrying $154,000 and change. And if the committee does choose to accept this when we get to the motion portion, there still would be $88,000 and change remaining in this budget line item. Are there any questions on the moving portion of this? Hearing none, I'm moving on. So as the committee knows, there's some trees that need to be moved. I've been working to get this cost before the committee so we could have these removed, and they're, again, not in the way of Turner progressing when it comes to starting to work on the east parcel and the athletic field area. Phil Ryan, the town purchasing agent, was extremely helpful to guide me on whom we could use and have it be reimbursable to the grant. Razor's Edge was bid out a couple of years ago. They've been doing work for the town for some time, so they're comfortable with this firm, and their price came in at $16,000. I'll review that in a moment, but that's to come in, remove all the trees, and grind the stumps below grade, and get that area ready for when Turner is ready to start. Any questions on this before I move on? Hearing none. So, portable classrooms. We as the owner are responsible for the removal of these portable culinary and pre-teach classrooms that are on the west corner of the east parcel. For months now, we've been working with consultants, with Turner, with the town, Rich Ruggiero, Dan Wakeland, and trying to figure out what the town's options are. And the town does have 3 options. One is to try to continue to sell the units, to tear down the units and move them somewhere else in town. And 3 is to demo the units on site. So in going to try to sell the units, to date, we have not had success, nor has there been interest in the market for these particular units. I sent the committee a couple weeks back, and again on Friday, the communication I've had with the consultants, their views on the matter, and really how these units are not desirable. So number 2, pay the company to break it down and move it to another site on town. The long and the short, it's about $150,000 to do so. We don't have a cost to have the town do it, but we certainly know it would be considerably less expensive. And then the third is to demolish the trailers. So I did reach out to Turner. They quickly turned around a rough order of magnitude on what it would take to demolish the trailers. Came in around $50,000, and this is reimbursable to the grant. So after all set in, we're looking at probably around low $20,000 range cost to the town. What does come with this, no matter what we do, whether we sell, moving not so much, but whether we sell or demo, we do need a material inspection report, which I show down below, and we'll discuss that in a minute. This course of action does not release us of our obligation to manage the UI service disconnect, the town utilities, as well as the FF&E removal within. This is so, Chairman, I'd like to talk to Rich. Rich, if I could have you chime in, or Janet. So the town understands. The town does not have any use for these trailers, and they want to make sure that the Board of Education doesn't have any use for these trailers if the committee were to motion tonight to have these demoed. Or if you would like to meet it, to have the owner's project manager try to have these moved, try to coordinate with the town to have them moved. This is, I guess, to get your word on the matter, Rich, if I could. If originally they were going to go to Bunnell.
Yeah, this is Rich from the Board of Ed. So originally, I think when they were ordered, the thought was that they would go to Bunnell in the event for emergencies. But since the generator was installed at Bunnell and the school is fully functional, I don't see the point of hanging on to something that we probably won't even use anymore. And sadly, we couldn't get rid of them. Yeah. So I think that might be the best option we got.
Yeah, I think the original intent was this is Janet. I think the original intent was that they would go over to Bunnell, but I think that sort of lost direction.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess my question to you, and I apologize for putting you on the spot, and if you need more time, you certainly do not have to make any decision. But would the Board of Education be agreeable to have the committee motion to have these demolished? Or would you like the owner's project manager to continue to try to have the town maybe find a spot in town? I don't think the town is interested or has a spot for them.
Not sure that the town has a spot for them. I think that I'm not aware that there's been any search to try to figure out what to use them for at this point.
Yeah. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah.
Paul, I think the point being of our discussion tonight is regardless of where they go or what happens with them, no one's really going to touch them or address them until this portable hazmat inspection has been done and they've been kind of classified and designated for what the next steps are. So that's why I think, you have Eagle Environmental, and have this item before us tonight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for this meeting, Chairman, we'll move forward with Eagle Environmental. And next meeting brings us to May, which, Tim, if we make a decision to demolish these and or do something else, does the May meeting work for Turner to coordinate demolishing the units?
Yeah, this is Tim with Turner. Yes, I believe that the May meeting will suffice. There's clearly a lot up in the air with the pandemic that's happening. And as we learn more information, we then will need to, as a team, with the committee and everybody involved, understand what happens if there's a delay to the end date of building B. And does that domino into, we need to continue to keep the portables in place for culinary, and we can't again start demolition and abatement of building C northern half. So I think that May 1st we'll be able to get smarter between now and then. Hopefully we have a lot more clear information, and there's some indications on material deliveries and where we're going. And then as a team, we need to, clearly work together to find out how we move forward, and that'll have a direct impact on those portable trailers.
Okay, so it almost behooves the project, Tim, to kind of wait, because a lot's going to happen in the next month, and I think we'll know better from the May meeting.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So lastly is just for the committee to start thinking about the commemorative plaque. Lisa, do you mind talking a little bit about the plaque?
Not at all. Again, Lisa from Antonazi. I think that, so we have a 30 by 36 inch bronze plaque in our specifications. The thought is that we'll place it somewhere in the civic lobby on one of the brick walls. I'd be very happy to set up a couple of options of what this would look like, but I'd like to have a blessed list of names to work with. Since this project's been going on for so long, I don't want to miss anybody from the past, that sort of thing. When I originally sent this email to Paul, there were some examples of the, I think it's in here actually, of the older plaques that were already in the building. And I included from another project also. Right, so that's West Haven High School. So that's a more recent one. I think I also included the one from 1987 and two earlier ones. Some familiar names. So this is the 1987-89 edition plaque. And this was the auditorium edition plaque, 1964. We're not doing marble, sorry. This is the marble plaque. I'd love to, but.
So that's just an update. So Lisa, Paul Drummy from CREC, what is the drop dead decision date that the committee and the town need to come forward with the design?
I haven't gone through that with Jen and Tim over at Turner, but the sooner the better.
Okay. So would you say by
in terms of preparation for mounting, it's going into masonry, but we do have to get it done before the project's finished.
Yeah. So probably May or June, we should.
That would be ideal. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So working our way backwards, Chairman. This is Razor Edge Tree Services proposal for the 5 trees and the stumps. Okay. And that equals $16,000. This was the bid that went out back in 18. My email from between myself and Phil Ryan. This is Myers Movers, excuse me. So this is the removal of all items from the Connex boxes, moving them into roadworthy trailers. 2 trailers. Okay, that's the labor. Monthly storage on 2 trailers. $700 per trailer. 14 times 4, about $5,600 for the time they'll spend in the yard. Connex boxes being moved from one side of the street to the next. This is both ways. So when it comes to returning them, they obviously cannot come back to the school site. This includes them moving them anywhere in town up to 10 miles. So once the Connex boxes are emptied, the town gets to choose, because the Board of Education of the town owns these, so they get to choose where Eagle will pick these up and move them to. This includes the labor, the gym, kitchen, band, janitor, senior lounge, move back, materials, the C bins, all the materials required to pack, dumpsters, we're estimating. That is not correct math at all. So that's 2 dumpsters. And then the banners, there's existing banners on the gymnasium wall. I don't know if Turner owned that. I don't think they did. So I ended up asking Myers to taking them down and then reinstalling them. Tim, can you talk about that?
This is Tim with Turner. You're talking about the removal of the banners in the gym?
In the existing gym, the ones that are hung up on the wall. That's not within your scope, or?
No, but I mean, I don't know how many banners are there, but
It's quite a few. So I had Myers quote us to take them down and reinstall them.
This is Jack from Stratford High School. Yeah, there's probably over 30 banners that are hanging in the gym right now.
Jack.
I mean, if we have the necessary lift equipment, we could certainly, talk to the custodians about taking them down, because they are responsible for hanging things in the buildings and taking them down. But we'd have to talk to Rich a little bit more about that.
Okay. But this is just orders of magnitude to create the PO and to draw off them. Their invoicing will be checked by me to make certain that they're appropriate and that the work is in place. But to at least get them started, especially not knowing what's going to happen with the virus itself, and if school is not going to come back, we certainly want to get the movers started sooner than later, if possible. Okay, scrolling up, this is the Sonatrol, this is the communication between Larry and I. Larry pointing out that the one major issue were those 2 single lens cameras. And then we have the upgrade of those 2, minus the 2 single lens to the 360 lens, is $1,716.05.
There a motion to approve?
One moment, Chairman, please.
Oh, sorry.
My apologies. Okay, that's Antoniz's amendment. Lastly, there's a couple things I want to speak about. talked about the portable classroom removals, King Street trees, Project Adventure. We're working on a proposal from the engineer to get us to do the engineering on the trusses in the existing gym to see how much Project Adventure equipment can hang from the trusses. So that proposal will come before building committee next month. The Ox Gym flooring. Tim and/or Lisa, may you please hop in here and speak a little bit about the flooring in the Ox Gym, the future Ox Gym?
Sure, Lisa from Antonazi here. And Tim, you can jump in as well if you like, but as most of you know, there is currently wood flooring in the Ox Gym. And actually originally as a value engineering item, we opted to salvage this flooring as part of our design. And shortly after we went to bid, I believe there was a flood that following summer in the gym. There was some damage to the floor and time has passed. And contingencies are healthy enough. We were talking about installing a new floor. Originally, we were looking at wood for this floor, but right now we're looking at a poured rubber floor, resilient flooring. I think it's about 3/8 of an inch thick. So it would come under over a concrete topping slab. And we'll look at pricing and bring that to the committee.
Any questions on the Ox Gym floor? We'll have more information probably before next meeting. I'll distribute it ahead of time so the committee can process it. But that's coming down.
Right, the name of the floor we're looking at is a Robbins floor. It's called Pulastic Classic 90.
Hey, Lisa.
From what company?
Robbins.
Lisa, this is Ken. Is it from Tarquette?
No, this is a Robbins floor. We were looking at the Tarquette, and I think I shared some information with you, and it's a good floor, but it's sheet and it has seams in it. We looked at it more closely, and a fluid applied floor with no seams is probably better for you long term.
And Tarquette doesn't do a type of floor like that?
No. I can double check, but I don't believe that they do a fluid applied floor.
Heck yeah, can we just check and just totally make sure, please?
Absolutely.
Tarquette poured floor. I will check. We will check.
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa and Paul, this is Tim with Turner. Just a couple things from our perspective on the existing auxiliary gym floor. As it's slated today in the scope is to salvage that floor. Our concern with that is once you start cutting that floor has been in there for quite some time, to be able to salvage that once you cut, to be able to create the fitness center in the quarter on the east side. The concern is for buckling and bowing of that floor system, especially with the water damage that's happened to date. We did price out replacing the wood floor in kind, putting a new wood floor in there similar to what is going to go in the new gymnasium. I believe the numbers were just north of about $100,000 to do that, which was net the credits to salvage as well as to the add to demo, and then to put a new down. The issue with a new wood floor is the acclimation period of the floor would extend the end date, which is one of the reasons we started looking at other products. The rubber or a sheet product that Lisa has discussed is another alternative. What that will require, so everybody's aware, is right now we did a test cut. There is a 4-inch recess in that current gym floor, so we would have to fill that recess and then put a floor on top of it. That's similar to what we'll have to do in the Ox Gym and in the quarter. I'm sorry, the fitness center in the quarter.
Tim, this is Jack, Stratford High School. Would it make sense then if we're going to go with a poured concrete, a rubber flooring surface to extend that into the fitness center? Does that meet the criteria necessary to handle the weights in the fitness center?
Lisa from Antonazi again. We are putting a different kind of rubber flooring in the fitness center. Those interlocking tiles, which give a little bit more cushion for when you drop weights on them.
Okay.
So we'll be revisiting this. We'll send out more information as the weeks pass, so the committee can process it. Moving on real quick, we talked about move management coordination. Spirit Rocks, we need to figure out where they're going temporarily or permanently. Commemorative plaque, we talked about. One additional item is just, we're looking into some sports camera equipment. If the budget allows. I was hoping that Jack Delpiano could touch base really quickly on this, given the time.
Sure. Yeah. Hello, committee. This is Jack from Stratford. Hi again. What this is, it's the, I'm not sure if anyone's aware of it, but the majority of high schools now are moving towards a camera system for the NFHS, which is a National High School Federation, where they sell subscriptions. The school makes a slight bit of money, helps fund the equipment and the ongoing technology. So people can log onto the computer, their TV, and they could stream live games at any site that has them. So I know Massac High School, Bunnell High School has it, so there are times I'm at a Stratford High football game, but I take my phone out and I check to see how my son's doing at Massac. It's pretty popular. It's pretty prevalent. The package is $5,000. That includes installation. It includes a camera in the gym and a camera at a football field, normally, because that's where they play soccer and lacrosse and everything. So the only question would be for the committee. I'm not sure if half of that could be included in the building project because it's at Penders Field. So it's just an idea that we would like to move forward with that, and we'd like to try to at least get the company to talk with Turner for the gym camera. Why everything's when the Jordy's open in there, or at least a little easier to work now than when it's completed. Yeah, we talked about a month ago, Paul. It's been a little hectic 3 weeks, so
it has. So we'll talk
I know
more
Mr.
about
Priest
that.
knows about the camera system, as maybe other people do from watching high school athletic events.
Yes, this is Ken. A lot of schools are using this, like Jack says, and it's a very good thing. It helps the community, people that can't get to games, older people that can't get out, in bad weather and everything. Most of the schools are going towards this direction, and if we can do this, I think it will be a great thing for the community.
Especially Ken, with the situation we're in now, with the uncertainty, what's going to happen moving forward with athletic events, it would give an opportunity for all spectators to be able to view athletic events from home as well.
Right, and not just athletic events, it's anything that goes on in the gym, like if graduation had to be moved inside or anything else that's happening in the gym besides, basketball, volleyball, and just sports. It's for anything. The cameras can be turned on whenever there's an activity in there.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Paul Drummy, Craig again. So now we're in the motion section, Chairman. This is the Sonatrol proposal. SHS BRS accepts the additional cost for 2 360-degree cameras, upgrades, and Sonatrol's main gym B107 proposal, which aligns with Antonazi's security markup file in the amount of $1760.05.
Is there a motion to approve?
Rich Fredette, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Fredette. Is there a second?
Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Ed, second.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none on a motion made by
Alan,
Rich.
I have a question.
Go ahead, sorry.
Alan, it's Ken. I have a question. Exactly, are we voting on all of them, or which one are we voting on?
We're voting on just the Sonatrol proposal for 171605. It's basically swapping out 2 cameras that are sort of basic for 2 cameras that are 360-degree cameras.
Okay,
That's
I just lost.
Okay, Paul Drummond from Craig. So the note below talks about last month's approval. So since this little portion here alleviates any concern that Larry Ciccarelli had, now this last month's approval is moving forward as well. So building B is 17070 plus 1716. So this was already approved last month with contingent on Larry's approval. This solidifies Larry's approval by the switching out 2 cameras. Any questions?
So we don't need a motion or any action on this?
Not on the second one. You motioned last month, Chairman?
Okay, and we had the amount finalized. Does somebody have a phone that's not on mute? I'm hearing a lot of background noise. All right, Paul, you there?
I am.
Okay. All right, so do we need a motion on the 171605 or not?
Yes, on that you do.
Okay, so a motion's been made by, okay, so a motion's been made by Mr. Fredette, seconded by Bob DiLorenzo for the amount of 171605. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Paul, can we move right on to the Myers Movers?
Yes, sir. The Myers
Okay,
Movers,
and go ahead.
again, it's the Myers Mover proposal for associated phase 2 and 3 moving tasks noted within in the amount of $66,504.
There a motion to approve?
So moved, Dan Semp. Building needs.
Second,
Thank you. All right, any further questions, comments, discussion? On a motion made by Dan Semp, seconded by Bob Shalou, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Okay, next,
Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next is the Razor's Edge.
yes, Chairman. Stratford High School Building Renovation Subcommittee accepts Razor's Edge tree service proposal for the removal of the 216 King Street trees in the amount of $16,000.
Okay, motion to approve.
Rich Fredette, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Fredette. Is there a second?
Janet Robinson, second.
Second by Janet Robinson. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Hearing
Yes,
none
Mr.
on a
Chairman.
motion. Yes, go ahead.
Now, it's 10. I just wanted to just state a fact that Paul did a fabulous job with this. He went out and got a lot of quotes. This was the lowest quote, and he did a really good job of making sure that we were spending the least amount of money on this as possible. So I wanted to thank Paul for doing that.
No, just agree and following up with that, we went through the whole formal purchasing process with this. We're ensured that this is going to be able to be split 60-40 as part of the grant. Thanks to, Paul, as well as yourself, Councilman Poisson. And I know Rich Fredette also put a fair amount of time into this, coordinating meetings, getting everything together. So this is a true team effort on this one. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, motion made by Rich Fredette, seconded by Janet Robinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. And
Hey,
then,
Chairman.
go ahead.
Okay, next, we're gonna hold off till May and talk about the portable trailers, have a decision at the May meeting. Lastly, is the Eagle Environmental proposal. So SHS BRS accepts Eagle Environmental proposal to perform pre-demolition hazardous building material inspections on portable trailers in the amount of $2,225.
Motion to approve.
This is Jax from Stratford High. Motion to approve. Sorry.
Thank
Second,
you. There's a
Janet.
second?
No,
Okay.
I'm
second, Bob.
not sick. I'm fine.
So is there everybody good with going with Jack Delapiano, Janet Robinson on this one? Any questions?
Sure.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Anything Any other new business items?
No,
Mr. Chairman, John Casey.
Go on, go ahead, John.
I just want to clarify on the sidewalk that we're not going to go with the Turner's change order on that, but that we would like to get approval that the town's replacement costs would be funded by the project.
Paul, can you speak to that?
I can dive into it, Chairman. I mean, if it was going to be reimbursed, yeah. Sorry, Chairman. I'm taken back a little bit.
No,
But,
I just want to make sure that regardless of who performs the work, that it's all considered as part of the project.
So I guess I need to ask Lisa, does this fall within the parameters of the project and would it be reimbursable?
I believe that it's, I don't think that it's on the property.
So if you remember, John Casey, town engineer, on the last time we did sidewalk replacement on the north side of the school, off property, that we determined was not going to be reimbursable, but we paid for it out of the project budget anyway. We'd like to do the same thing here.
Correct. Because I believe your
Okay.
cost is still less than Turner's cost.
Right. So if we can agree on that, then if we could vote on it, it'd be $20,000 expense to the project budget.
Okay, and it's John, again, just to confirm, it's a $20,000 flat amount.
It'll be not to
20,000
exceed
even?
20,000.
Okay. So then I will entertain a motion for approval of the town to take over the North Parade sidewalks in a not to exceed amount of 20,000.
So moved, Dan Semp.
Dan
Fredette,
Semp has motion, Rich Fredette second. Any further questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Thanks for bringing that to our attention, John. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other items to be brought up under new business under item 9? Anything, moving on to item 10, anything to come back under old business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Here, repeat that. Who made that motion?
Rich Fredette.
Second,
Motion made
Janet
by Rich
Robinson.
Seconded by Janet Robinson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, and we are adjourned at 7:19.
If you're on building needs, please stay right here. We're going to start right away. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a little different opening today because this is a virtual meeting, so just bear with me while we go through this opening statement, please. This is Ken Poisson, 6th District Councilman and Chairman of the Building Needs Committee. And I'd like to call the Building Needs Committee meeting to order of April 6, 2020 at 7:20 p.m. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, we are conducting this meeting on gotomeetings.com on Monday, April 6, 2020. Quorum for this meeting is 6, which we have, and we'll just go through attendance right now. When I say your name, please state that you are present. Jim Connor.
I am here.
Bob DiLorenzo.
Can't hear you, Ken.
Bob DiLorenzo.
Present.
Alan Llewellyn.
Present.
Linda Manos. Lamb Nguyen. Len Petroselli. Dan Senft.
Present.
Caitlin Shake.
Present.
Ron Ticky.
Here.
And myself, Ken Poisson, is present. Also in attendance, John Casey, Town Engineer.
Present.
Rich Ruggiero from BOE.
Here.
Dan Wakeling from Town Buildings,
Present.
Margot Paquette, Council Secretary and Organizer of this meeting.
Here.
Aileen Marsh, Recording Secretary.
Here.
Hey, I'd like to remind everyone, if you're on video and you'd like to speak, to please raise your hand. If you're on your phone, please ask for permission to speak. When I call on you each and every time to begin talking, you must begin by stating your name and title. This is per Governor Lamont's executive order, which allows us to have these virtual meetings. Also, as has been stated many times already this evening, please keep yourself on mute unless you're talking to avoid all the background noise. Are there any questions before we start? Okay, the second item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our regular March 2nd meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to accept, Alan Llewellyn.
Right, motion by Mr. Llewellyn. Is there a second?
Yeah,
Second, Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Education.
Right, second by Bob DiLorenzo. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, item 3 is ongoing items. 3A is Board of Ed Buildings, and A1 is Stratford High Renovation Subcommittee. Mr. Llewellyn, I'll turn it over to you, and this should be very easy because we were all just on the last meeting.
Thank you, Chairman Poisson. Alan Llewellyn, Subcommittee Chairman for the Stratford High School Renovation Subcommittee. We had a lengthy session prior to this meeting. Happily to report that the Stratford High project has been moving forward. There's even been some good news. I hope everybody's seen the pictures or at least become aware that the masonry surround that has the Stratford High School letters in it has been reinstalled, is back in place. Turner continues to work diligently, while social distancing within the project site and continuing to move forward. There were many items of change order business that got put through, both Turner and non-Turner. So if anybody kind of wants further information on project status, the dashboard's distributed to all the council persons and the Board of Ed members. I believe it's also made available on the website. And so further information can be held that way, or I'm sure Mr. Chairman, Councilman Poisson, you wouldn't mind if anyone got in touch directly with you, or they could also get in touch directly with me. So the first piece of Turner change order business that we took care of tonight was number 121. This was related to the North Parade sidewalks, and what we actually did is we moved to reject this as a Turner change order request. We're going to have the town address the work. So I would move that we accept this in the amount of $0.00.
Ron Ticky.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next.
Change order request. This is Alan Llewellyn, Subcommittee Chair. Change order request number 227. This was in response to RFI 494 for the wall between spaces B131 and B132. I would move that we accept this in the accredit amount of $4,502.
Second, Ron Ticky.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next.
Change order request number 228. This is for the reconciliation of an unsuitable soils amount that was approved previously. I'm happy to announce this is another credit. I would move that we accept this in the amount of $15,792.
Second, Ron Ticky.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next.
This change order request number 229. This was based on the response to RFI 506. This added a wall in the gymnasium area. I would move that we accept this in the amount of $5,897.
Second, Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Ed.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Next item is change order request number 230. This was based on the response to RFI number 510 for Building B, adjustments made in the area of the water meter pit. I would move that we accept this in the amount of $17,027.
Second, Ron Dickey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next.
Change order request number 231. This was based on the response to RFI 495. This is for a transformer 225 disconnect switch. I move that we accept this in the credit amount of $984.
Second, Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Ed.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next.
Change order request number 232. This is based on the response to RFI number 498. This is additional work related to smoke detectors in the lobby. I would move that we accept this in the amount of $2,041.
Second, Ron Dickey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next.
Change order request number 233. This was based on the response to RFI number 516. This is providing some heat tracing of storm lines. This ties the heat tracing in back to a panel so it can be observed and monitored. This is in a hard, high to reach area where it would not be easy to replace this piping if it were to freeze or something were to happen to it. I would move that we accept this change in the amount of $16,704.
Second, Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Ed.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Next item is change order request number 234. This is based on the response to RFI 499 for additional framing. During our prior meeting, Tim Kleps from Turner kind of walked us through the area where this work applies to. I would move that we accept this in the amount of $17,266.
Second, Ron Dickey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next.
Moving forward, our next item that we looked at this evening was Antonazi Amendment number 29R. This is a reconciliation of a prior geodesign soils Antonazi Amendment. I would move that we accept this in the credit amount of $10,486.50.
Second, Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Education.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next.
Next item is Antonazi Amendment Number 30R. This is another reconciliation of prior amendment work that was performed by Geo Designs related to the soils reconciliation. I would move that we accept this in the amount of $20,821.
Second, Ron Dickey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Our next item is Antonazi Amendment Number 46. This is for Geo Designs to do soil characterization and other soils-related work related to the east parcel, which is where the new athletic field is going to be installed. I would move that we approve this and send to council with favorable recommendation in the amount of $32,303.50.
Second, Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Education.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next.
Our next item for action is a Sonatrol proposal. At last month's meetings, we talked about having Larry Ciccarelli, as well as some of the other safety officers and fire marshals, walk through the building and confirm that we're properly situated with regards to our security system. Based on their recommendations, there's going to be 2 camera changes made to the main gym. They're listed under Sonatrol proposal number B107. I would move that we accept these in the amount of $1,716.05.
Second, Ron Dickey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Next.
Our next item is related to the moving tasks that are going to have to be done as part of phase 2 and 3. I know we're using previously budgeted monies for this, and there'll still be money left over in the line item. But just to go through the formalities of this, I'm going to move that we approve this cost and send to council with favorable recommendation for Myers Movers in the amount of $66,504.
Seconded.
Bob DiLorenzo, Board of Education.
Hey, Bobby, share some of the wealth here, will you?
I'm sure Aileen's doing that. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Next item is for addressing the trees and stump removal adjacent to the property line where we've extended the square footage for the new athletic field. I would move that we accept the proposal of Razor's Edge Tree Service and accept in the amount of $16,000.
Danny?
Second.
Oh, let Bobby take this one.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Danny's moving too slow.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next.
Next item. Nope, 2 more. Next item is Eagle Environmental. This is to do the hazmat inspection on the portable modular buildings classrooms that are currently at the high school that it looks like no one has any use for, but whether they get relocated or get declared demolition material and are removed, nonetheless, they need to go through a hazmat process and get classified. I would move that we accept this award to Eagle Environmental and accept in the amount of $2,225.
Second, Ron Dickey.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously.
Our last item for the evening, Mr. Chairman, is related to the work to be done at the North Parade sidewalks as previously referenced in Turner Change Order Request number 121. I would move that we award this to the town contractor in a not to exceed amount of $20,000.
Second, Bob DiLorenzo.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Alan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Be safe and stay well, everyone. See you next month.
Okay, item 3A2 is open work orders. Does anybody have any, this is Board of Ed, open work orders. Anybody have any questions for?
I'm just wondering whether or not I'm sorry, it's Dan Senf, Building Needs. Just wondering if we have any employees that are out due to the COVID-19 virus.
This is Rich Board of Ed.
This is Dan Wickton. Good, Rich.
For the Board of Ed side, again, Rich from Board of Ed, I don't know of anyone who's out with Corona.
This is Dan Wakeling, Public Works. There's nobody at this point that I know of that is out from it.
And I think the only other question I have is, can they elect to stay out of work?
Rich from the Board of Ed, as of right now, MOUs that were sent out to custodians, some of them have been putting in, who just had wives had babies, are putting in for like short term away from work. So we're in the process of looking at all that right now. As of right now, I only have 2, but other than that, everyone else is supposed to report to work. If they choose to take off, they got to use their vacation or sick time.
Thank you.
This is Dan Wakeling. Public Works is fully staffed. There's a few people out, come and go, but it's just vacation time or some sick time.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Rich, Board of Ed, open work orders, or Board of Ed buildings? Okay, thank you, Rich. 3B is general town buildings, open work orders, or building repairs. Does anybody have any questions for Danny?
This is Dan Wickling again, Public Works. I'm sorry I didn't get any list to you guys. It's just been a little crazy. So we've had a lot of other things going on. I'll get them next month.
We totally understand, Danny. Thank you.
Chairman?
You're welcome.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, this is the mayor.
Yes, Madam Mayor, go ahead.
I'd like to make a comment about how Dan is managing his staff, his building maintenance crew, his first and the second shift, and how many work orders they are completing in not only town buildings, but also school buildings, which are town buildings. They're doing an exemplary job, and they're working quite diligently. And now that we finally have access to the Board of Education buildings after normal school hours, they're getting quite a lot of work done.
That's great news. I think we know all the work that Danny and his crew do, and it's nice to hear it from up above also. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, any other questions, comments, concerns for Danny for town buildings? Okay, we'll move on to B2, which is Booth Park Buildings. Danny, is there any updates there?
Yes, we have a contractor in there and we're doing a bunch of work on some of the smaller items. The windmill, we're repairing the barn doors on the carriage house, well, the carriage barn, I guess. Those are done. We're doing some work on the dance hall. We're having to paint it and doing some work inside. And tomorrow I'm meeting with a contractor in the homestead basement to take a look at the foundation and the sills. There's some issues there to see if we need a engineer to come in and take a look at it or if we could do it ourselves.
Jim Connor, would you like to add anything on Booth Park?
No, not at this time.
Any questions for Danny on Booth Park Buildings? Okay, thank you very much, Danny. Item 4 is new business. Danny, you have something you need to bring forward?
Yes, for Lordship Firehouse, we went out to bid for to redo the HVAC system. We're taking out the old steam boiler and the unit heaters and all the old systems, and we're putting in gas unit heaters downstairs and heat pumps with air conditioning upstairs, new hot water heaters, so we'll get rid of that clunky old boiler we have. So Save More was the low bidder on this, and I'd like to have it forwarded to the council with favorable recommendation.
Hey, would someone like to make that motion, please?
Ron Ticky, so moved.
Hey, we have a motion. Would someone like to second it?
Second, Todd DiLorenzo.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? It was all emailed to us ahead of time with all the pertinent information.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Aileen.
Aileen Marsh, recording secretary, you just need to include a dollar amount, please, for the record.
Danny, can you just read the dollar amount off, please?
Oh, you know what? I don't have it in front of me. It was 99,000 and change. I'm not sure the exact amount.
Aileen, do you have it in front of you? Aileen, go
Aileen Marsh,
Go ahead.
Aileen Marsh, secretary, it's $99,500.
Okay, so Aileen will just add that. Aileen will just add that to the motion and the second. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for noticing that. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Is there any other new business? Hey, our next regular meeting is scheduled for the first Monday in May, which will be May 4th, and a special meeting if necessary because of Stratford High or other circumstances would be Monday, April 20th only if needed. Before we adjourn, I would like to thank everybody for your time and effort, and please stay safe and healthy. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Dan Sam, needs motion to adjourn.
All right, and who seconded that? I didn't hear it.
Todd DiLorenzo, second.
Okay, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
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 Hey, Chairman votes aye. We are adjourned at 7:46 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for your work.
Thank you. Be
Thank
safe.
you. Be safe.